Mr. Krause said, my name is Teddy, and I am part of the Back to Bach Project, and I am the director of the Houston, Texas region. So we have 80 official regions, around 80, and we are just one of them, and we're the Houston, Texas region, and we're so excited to be presenting to you guys today. And through the Back to Bach project, we just want to share our love for music and inspire you guys, hopefully, to start learning an instrument, or if you already do, to continue. So, also, before I continue, if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, you can just type them into the chat. And then we do have a Q&A session towards the end, like Mr. Krause said. So we'll get to those. We'll address all those questions later. So you can, again, just type them into the chat. Alrighty. So before we even begin our performance, my team, I have 4 members here, will introduce ourselves. So I'll begin again. Hello, my name is Teddy. You can think of it kind of like a teddy bear, but without the bear part. I am a sophomore or a second year at Rice University, and I'm currently studying piano. And I've been playing the piano for about 15, 16-ish years. And I also play the violin too, which you might see in a bit. And I've been playing the violin for about 10, 11-ish years. And let's see, a fun fact about my main instrument, which is the piano, is that there are 88 keys total on the piano. So yeah. Okay, so next, Abhinav, can you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, my name is Abhinav, and I'm a freshman at Rice University majoring in chemistry. I've been playing the violin for about 7 years now. So I started when I was in middle school. And a fun fact about my instrument is that it was actually made in the United States, and it's actually a very modern instrument. It was only made about a couple of years ago.
Awesome. Thank you, Abhinav. Okay, can we have Lauren?
Hi everyone, my name is Lauren and I'm a senior at Seven Lakes High School in Katy, Texas, and I play the cello. I've been playing the cello for about 12 years now, and a fun fact about the cello is that it has the largest range out of all the string instruments, meaning that we can play notes that are really, really low as well as notes that are really, really high.
Thank you, Lauren. And then last but not least, Ayani.
Hi everyone, my name is Ayani. I attend Rice University and I'm a sophomore piano performance major. I've been playing the piano for almost 16 years now, and a fun fact about my instrument is that it comes in all different sizes. For example, there's a grand piano, which could almost be up to 7 or 8 feet long, and an upright piano, which is higher vertically.
Alrighty, so hopefully now that you guys got to know us a little bit better, I'm sure you guys are wondering if we can even play our instruments. So you guys are in luck because we have prepared solos. Actually, 2 of my members have prepared solos. So a solo is when just one performer plays. And so we'll first have Lauren perform a solo on her instrument. So Lauren, can you introduce what you're going to play for us today?
So today I'm really excited to be playing the 3rd movement of the Dvorak Cello Concerto, and I really like playing this piece because it sounds very heroic, and I want you guys to listen for the change in tempo as I go from slow to fast.
Wow, thank you, Lauren. I know you guys are muted, but let's give her a round of applause. So I hope you guys were able to hear the heroic quality of her performance in the Dvorak Cello Concerto, specifically the third movement. Okay, so now we're gonna have something a little more contrasting, the opposite, not, or it's more slower. So Abhinav, can you introduce what you're gonna be playing for us?
Yeah, hey everyone. So today I'm going to be playing the second movement of the Sibelius Violin Concerto, and I really like this piece because the emotions are really deep and intense. And as I play the piece, I want you guys to listen for dynamic changes and a sad mood.
Thank you, Abhinav. So yes, that was the second movement of the Sibelius Violin Concerto, and it was obviously slower, calmer, and then Lauren's was more heroic and more energy. So now, so those were solo performances because that was just one performer all by themselves. And now Ayani and I have a duet prepared. A duet is when there's two performers. So a soloist was one, duet is two. And unfortunately, because of COVID, we weren't able to meet to perform this. So we decided to record ourselves separately and then put the two recordings together. And so Ayani made that a recording. But before we play that for you, Ayani, could you introduce what we will be playing?
Yeah, so this piece is called Meow, which is the second movement of a piece called The Dolly Suite by French composer Gabriel Fauré. And I want you guys to pay attention to the fact that there are four hands playing opposed to just two.
that was a duet again. So that was 2 performers. And now we're going to watch an ensemble. So an ensemble is when there is usually more than 2 performers at a time. And so because the holidays are coming up, we decided to put a little Jingle Bells, mashup for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy. Yes, so thank you, Ayani, for putting that together. So that was an ensemble. So that was an ensemble, and we first had Lauren and Abhinav play a solo performance. Again, that was 1 person, and then we had a duet, which was 2 people. Alrighty, so now we're gonna get into the teaching portion of our presentation. And today we are going to be talking about the 3 effective practicing tips, because you guys are maybe wondering how we got to become good at our instruments. So we're going to be sharing with you guys the 3 effective practicing tips that have helped us and hopefully can help you guys. And I think these can be applied to anything in your life, not just music. So hope these will help you. And Ayani, why don't you start us off?
Hi guys, so I'm sure many of you play an instrument, or maybe it's a sport, or maybe you like to draw, paint, or bake, or whatever you do that requires practicing. And practicing is the key to becoming good at anything that you're passionate about. But practicing is kind of hard because, as many of you know, it's stressful, tiring, and sometimes even boring. All of us performers today here have had many times where we didn't want to practice, and we are not perfect in any way. We definitely don't practice every single day. We shouldn't be doing all those things, but we never gave up. So we want to share with you 3 effective practicing tips that have helped us get through practicing. Okay, before we begin, one important thing to do before you even start practicing your instrument is to find a quiet room where there are no distractions. You have to put your electronics away, let your family or whoever you're living with know in advance that you have to practice. And now we'll have Lauren tell us the first practice tip to efficient practicing.
So our first tip is that you need to have a realistic goal. Realistic basically means reasonable, something that you know you can achieve after you finish practicing today. Of course, it's really important to have long-term goals. Let's say that you're a basketball player. One of your long-term goals might be getting into college with a basketball scholarship. But before you can get there, it's really important to have goals that are more mini, realistic, and more short-term. So we need to make sure that our practicing goals are realistic. So if we go back to the basketball example, let's say that I am a complete beginner at basketball and I've never played before. I can only make 2 shots out of 10. That's not a lot. And so if I'm going to practice basketball today for an hour, I need to make a realistic goal. That might be, I want to make 4 shots out of 10 after practicing for an hour. An unrealistic goal might be saying, I want to make 10 shots out of 10 after an hour of practice. That's probably not likely to happen, and so it's really unrealistic. Having unrealistic goals like that can make you really feel bad about yourself because you can't achieve them. And there's nothing wrong with that. You need to start off with small goals for each practice session. And so we can kind of relate this back to music. So let's say that I want to learn like a piece that's about 2 pages long. That's a lot of music, right? And so a good realistic goal might be, after an hour of practice, I want to learn half of the first page. And then the next day, I want to learn the next half. And so that way, with the small realistic goals, you can really get far. And so kind of restating everything that I just said, the first tip is for you to have realistic, more short-term goals that you know you can achieve.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Lauren. So I will go on with the second tip to effective practicing, which is to identify and then overcome your problems. So what exactly does identify mean? So identify means to find and pick out where you have problems when you're practicing so you can really truly focus on these hard parts. So I'm going to go back to Lauren's basketball example because that was a good one. So as I'm practicing, shooting my baskets, I might realize that there must be a reason why I can't get so many basketballs in. So of course, yes, I am a beginner, but there has to be a reason why. So maybe I need to identify that my posture or my form is wrong, because we all know that having good posture, especially when you're playing a sport, especially like basketball, it's really important. So I need to identify that problem. This goes the exact same when I'm practicing my piano. So let's say I have a really, really hard passage. So I also have music here. So right here, there's a lot of notes there and it's really, really fast. And so let's say I can't play it at that really fast tempo. It sounds not good. It sounds all mushy. Maybe I'm not even playing the right notes. So just stopping and identifying that I have a problem there is a very effective practicing strategy, because if you don't even know what you're doing wrong, your practicing might not be so great. So after we identify the problem, we need to overcome those problems. So overcome means to successfully defeat the problem. And when you're overcoming a problem, you need to figure out how you can defeat that problem and how you're going to overcome it. So let's go back to that basketball problem. Let's say I identified my problem that I wasn't bending my knees, and that's like pretty key to, shooting a basket in. So now that I have identified my problem, I can overcome it, because when I'm practicing, I'm going to really focus on making sure that I'm bending my knees just the right amount. So all my baskets, it's more likely to go in. And so if I go back to my musical example with that really, really hard passage, I might decide, okay, maybe to overcome this, I have to play this really, really slow, because if I can't even play it slow, I probably won't be able to play it fast. So I might start with a slower speed and then gradually build it back up to the faster speed. And so once I identified that I had a problem with all these fast notes and I couldn't even play it, I have to start thinking about, okay, I need to overcome this problem by starting slow and gradually building up. So practicing slow is just one of many ways to practice a really hard passage with a lot of notes, but at least I'm being mindful and purposeful when I'm practicing. So again, the second tip is to identify and overcome your problems. Okay, so Abhinav, can you continue with the last tip that we have?
Yeah. So our third and final tip is to reward yourself. And this is an extremely important tip. It's honestly one of my favorite tips, and I think my fellow members can agree with me on this one. Whether you have a good or even a bad practice session, you should always reward yourself. Why? Because you at least got to pick up your instrument and practice. That's already better than not doing any practicing at all, right? So after you finish practicing, go get some ice cream or play some video games or bake some great desserts like cinnamon rolls. Whatever you want, you deserve it. Also, rewarding yourself will make practicing even better, because now you have something to look forward to after you finish practicing, which is super cool. So our last and probably our most favorite step is to reward yourself.
Yes. Okay, so now, because like I said at the very beginning, we might be having a fun quiz at the end, Ayani's gonna go ahead and review all the steps for you guys.
Yes. Okay, so remember the first tip that we said is to have a realistic goal. I'll say that again. It's to have a realistic goal. This means that don't expect yourself to become the next Michael Jordan after your very first basketball game or basketball practice. So remember to have a realistic goal that you know you can achieve in a short term. The second tip is to identify and overcome your problems. Identify and overcome your problems. Figure out what the problem is and find a way to solve this issue. Remember that you can only focus on one problem at a time if you want to be super efficient, and that even if things don't go well the first time, don't give up, and remember that you have to identify and then overcome those goals. Okay, and the last but not the least one is reward yourself. Like Abhinav said, go get some ice cream, go play some video games, or go outside and play. You deserve it after you practice. And remember that rewarding yourself is the most fun. It makes practicing worth it because you have something to look forward to afterwards. Okay, to summarize, I'm just going to repeat all those tips again. Remember them for our fun little quiz game coming up. So have a realistic goal, identify and overcome your problems, and then reward yourself.
Yes. Okay, so we're gonna do a fun quiz. So if you guys want to participate, just raise your hand. And here we go. Okay. So would anyone like to volunteer first? So you guys are gonna spin the wheel, or I will spin it for you if you guys want to go, and it'll land on a question and you guys are gonna have to answer it. Can anyone show me that they were paying attention?
You guys can put your thumbs up if you want to participate. Anyone here want? Okay, we have Julio would like to participate.
Okay.
So I'm going to unmute Julio.
Alrighty. Okay. Julio, I will spin the wheel for you then. Okay, so your question is, what is the third tip to effective practicing?
The tips that you said, no? The tips that you were saying, no?
The tip that we just went over 3 tips. So what was the last one that we just told you guys about?
My father just entered to make some things, so like the last 3 minutes I wasn't listening. So I can
okay.
answer to that question, sorry.
Okay, so let's see. Abhinav, could you tell us what the third tip to effective practicing was?
Yeah, of course. It's to reward yourself.
Yes, so Julio, do you want to do another one then?
If anyone else would like to jump in, just put your thumbs up, or you could just message us in the chat. All right, so we have Augustine. So Augustine will be unmuted. Go ahead. You
Alrighty, I will spin it for you. And Lauren, do you want to take this one? Okay.
All right, so this question is, what is your favorite tip for practicing and why?
I think it's the second one because I think it's the funniest part and the most interesting. So, and I think it's doing that makes me better.
That's right.
Yes, that sounds good. Okay.
We have a volunteer. It's a class in, believe it or not, North Pole, Alaska,
Okay.
that wants to go next. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Ayani, you can take this one. Okay.
Hi, so I think I'm talking to Veronica, right? So what is the word for one-person performance?
Okay, what do you guys think the answer is? Okay, ready, say it together.
Yeah, yay.
Okay. Good job, guys. Okay.
Wait, they can hear us?
We have Antonio. Are you guys still taking volunteers?
Yes.
Okay.
This can be our last one, unless somebody really wants to go after.
Okay, Antonio, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay.
So-
Abhinav, you can take this one. Oh, actually, let's do that one more time. We just did that one. Okay. One more. Okay, one more time.
Cool. So, what is the? Oh, sorry. What?
I think it's to have a realistic goal.
Yep.
Yes, good job. Okay, maybe we can take one more if there is anyone, and then I think we
Yes,
can.
Pablo. Pablo will be next.
Okay, Pablo. Oh, okay. So Pablo, what is your favorite instrument here today and why?
I liked all of them, but I preferred the piano
Ah,
because I find it like more relaxing than the rest.
do you play the piano or any instrument?
I played the guitar in the past,
Oh.
but I leave it now.
Okay, okay. Maybe you can pick up the piano sometime. Alrighty, okay. Thank you guys for playing. Okay, so now we're gonna open up the session to questions and questions. So if you guys have any questions, you can put them in the chat.
Some of the students actually messaged me to
Okay.
read the questions to you guys, but there will be times where I'll unmute them. And again, guys, if you have questions, go ahead and message them in the chat. So they wanted to know how each of you got your start in your specific instrument.
Okay, so I'll start first. I started, I think when I was in like kindergarten with the piano, and I don't know, my mom just really wanted me to play, and I've always really liked music as a baby, so I was like, why not? And so I started playing, and then I really wanted to play the violin for some reason. I think a girl, she was about 3 or 4 years older than me, and she was super good at violin. So I was really inspired to take on the violin too. So that's how I got into both instruments. Why don't we do Ayani next?
Hi, okay, so I started around the same time as Teddy, maybe a little bit before elementary school started, but my mom is a really big fan of classical music. Both of my parents are not musicians, but they've always liked music and wanted me to be someone that studied it in the future, so that was my start. And then ever since then, I've just been doing weekly lessons, and now I study it at college. Yeah.
Yes. And then Lauren?
Okay, so my story is a little bit similar to Teddy's. I started playing the cello in kindergarten. Both of my parents are musicians, and my mom's actually a cellist. And so I just kind of started playing because I was really inspired by her, and I haven't stopped since.
That's so cool. And then Abhinav?
Yep. So, my story is a little bit different than everyone else's. I kind of started in middle school. I didn't really start at an early age or anything. I started it in my middle school because my orchestra director pushed me to do it, and she really inspired me with her charisma and her um, kindness to help me get going. And ever since then, I've really liked music a lot. I've been doing a lot of concerts, and it's been great.
Yeah, so even though a majority of us started at like a really young age, there's truly, you can start at any age you want to, as long as you keep practicing. So hopefully that inspires you guys to start an instrument or continue playing whatever instrument you are currently playing.
So we have a question from Magali. I hope I pronounced that right. Go ahead. You can ask your question. You had a great question.
Who's your favorite composer?
Oh, that is a good question. I like Chopin. I don't know if do you know Chopin? Huge fan of Chopin, and I also really like Piazzolla. Spell it Piazzolla. He writes a lot of kind of like tango-ish music, and I don't know, I'm really into that. So yes, I don't know if you have time, maybe you can listen to him. But yeah, Chopin and Piazzolla. And we can go in the same order as before. Ayani.
I guess my favorite composer is Beethoven. He's a German composer, and his 250th celebration birthday was yesterday. Yeah.
Okay, I have two favorite composers. They're a little bit different. One of them is Shostakovich, and then the other one is Tchaikovsky.
My favorite is Tchaikovsky. Just he's the one who composed the Nutcracker, and he also has a lot of other pieces that are extremely intense and deep, and I really like it.
So we have, we'll do a couple more questions because I know that we have a final conclusion that we definitely want to hear. So we have Raphael. He had kind of a neat question.
Well, is the music a hobby for you or it is a job?
A hobby or a job? Was that your question?
Yeah, like do you
Yes.
guys approach it more like it's a hobby or more like it's a job, or what drives your passions?
I think it started off as a hobby, and I don't want to call it a job because I feel like sometimes the underlying meaning for a job is kind of like something that you have to do. But like I genuinely enjoy playing music and I enjoy playing the piano. And yes, there are days where I don't want to practice, but at the end of the day, it's really like very rewarding. So I think maybe it's kind of like a mix between hobby and a job that I really like doing. So I don't know if that answers your question. But yeah, I don't know. Ayani, Lauren, and Abhinav, if you guys want to add anything.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of the same for me too, because job has a connotation that you're doing it for something, but really like I'm doing music just for the music and to enjoy it. And just because I love it so much, and it's like really fortunate to be able to call something that you love so much your job and your hobby. So yeah, for me it's also both.
Yeah, so I kind of see it more not as a job, but kind of as a career because it's something that I really, really want to go into. I'm still in high school, but it started out as a hobby, and now like I really, really just want to do it for the rest of my life.
For me, it's pretty much a hobby. At this point, I'm not sure necessarily if I'll go into the career, but I definitely have considered it in the past, just because it's something I really wanted to do. And like it's been a hobby for a while now, like ever since I started in middle school, and I'm hoping that it continues to be one for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. And we have one final student question. It's from Sarah. And I know there's a few more other student questions, but we want to get to the back-to-back conclusion of the lesson. So Sarah, you should be able to unmute. You had a really awesome question.
Yes, my question is if you play another instrument, was the easier for you to play?
What instrument would I play if I didn't play the instruments I currently play? Is that your question?
Yes, that was her question.
Okay. I am a huge fan of the cello, actually. So, Lauren, I am very jealous of you. But yeah, I really love the cello. I like the deep, warm quality of it. And yeah, I just always wish I played it. And also, it's just a very fun instrument. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Definitely the cello. I know all of my classical music friends wished they played the cello. But a second instrument is definitely classical guitar. I feel like that's such a cool and unique instrument. I know we had somebody here who played guitar before. But it's kind of similar to the piano because it's so versatile and you can use it for different genres as well. So yeah, either cello or guitar.
Yeah, well, I obviously really like the cello because I play it, but I actually in third grade I wanted to switch to the violin because I really liked the repertoire, but my mom kind of convinced me to stay on the cello because it would have like erased all of my progress that I made before.
For me, I definitely would want. I'm broken between cello and piano. I feel like both are some like at different points in my time playing with the violin, I've definitely wanted to also try and picking up the cello or the piano because I think both the repertoires are great, and I think that the sound qualities that they produce are amazing.
All right, so we actually do have time. Thank you for clarifying for that, Teddy. We do have time for some more student questions, so I'll just jump right in. We'll do maybe like 2 more, and then we'll kind of end it because I know we're on all different schedules around the world. Alvaro, I liked your question. You should be able to unmute and ask your question to the group.
My question was, do you have any idols in music?
Yes, I do. I don't know if you know Julia Fisher. She is both a amazing pianist and violinist, and because I play both instruments, I'm just wowed by how good she is at both instruments, and she's a solo performer, and that's her career. So I think that's just awesome. She must be super dedicated, so I really look up to her for that.
Yeah, I guess my idol she's a pianist. Her name is Martha Argerich. She's from Argentina, but she has such a great energy, and she's also such a wonderful pianist, and she is my favorite pianist ever since I started playing.
Yeah, the person who I look up to the most is probably actually my private cello teacher because I've always like looked up to him. He's one of my favorite cellists, and I started learning from him a couple of years ago, and I've learned so much, and I really look up to him.
For me, my idol is probably Itzhak Perlman, who's a violinist. Uh, he had polio for a while, and he just like his legs basically he like is in a wheelchair most of the time. But despite all of the challenges he's had with violin playing, he's just come out to be one of the best of all time. And his compassion is really shown through his music and the things that he does on a daily basis and the way he talks to people. And I think that that's really amazing.
So before we let you guys go, the final student question, I'll read it for them. They want to know, what kind of advice could you give to all these kids as they kind of go off into the world and maybe they do pursue music, or maybe they want to pursue something else? I know you guys made the parallels with basketball. What kind of advice would you give to them as they kind of go off and find their passions in life?
Yes, so I know it might be hard sometimes to even find what you're passionate about, but don't be scared of exploring. And whatever you're passionate about, you will know because you will love it. And so all the effective tips, the 3 tips that we taught you guys today, you guys can apply it, I'm sure, to a lot of different things in your life. So having a realistic goal, don't be too hard on yourself, and always identifying and overcoming your problems, and don't always reward yourself because you completely deserve it. And so, yeah.
Yeah, definitely no matter what you're passionate about is don't give up, even if things don't go well the first time, if you get a bad test grade or if you have a bad performance or anything like that. The reason that you're feeling so badly about it is because you want to do well, and it's important to remember that you want to do well is because you love it. And so keep remembering that you love it and don't give up and keep trying again.
Yeah, my advice, Teddy kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but it's kind of basically you're never too old to start something. Even though we kind of started music at a younger age, you're never too old to start learning something new. And I think just follow the 3 tips that we talked about today, and I think that you'll go very, very far.
Yeah, so my advice would be like just give it time. Um, like you have so much time in your life to explore your passions, and I think that that's kind of like one of the points of that. I think that's like what I think life is about, just like being able to explore all sorts of things that life has to offer. And I think with anything, you can do amazing. Just make sure that you don't like take anything. You want to make sure you explore everything in detail. I feel like some people can like you can explore something for like maybe a day or 2 and you might not like it, but I think giving things time is like a really great way to sort of fall in love with something. For me, when I did started violin, I initially actually was like, oh, maybe I'm not gonna like it as much, but then I gave it time and I had people tell me to keep going, and eventually it became one of my favorite things in life.
Well, thank you guys so much for such an amazing, awesome lesson for so many students around the world. All the way up to North Pole, Alaska, all the way over to Europe and down in Texas where you guys are at. So before we let our Back to Bach friends go, can you guys tell us some information again about Back to Bach and where they can learn more about the Back to Bach project?
Yes, so we have a website. It is backtobachproject.org. So you can learn anything you want, who we're partnered with, how many regions we have, what other regions we have. You can check that all on the website. And we do have an Instagram page. It is at Back to Bach Project, and we also have a Facebook page which is called the Back to Bach Project. And then we also have a YouTube channel where we just post like events like these or fun videos. We even have like art related videos. So if you guys are interested in that, you guys can check that out. But yeah, we just want to say thank you guys for being so engaged. And I know sitting behind a screen can be really tiring sometimes, but you guys were really engaged and we really appreciate that. And also I want to give a special shout out to Miss Green who helped organize this with Burris Elementary. But yeah, I think whatever you guys do, hopefully these tips will help you in whatever way possible. And yeah, so if you guys want to stay updated with other events, just check us out on our socials and you guys can stay updated because right now everything is practically virtual because of COVID.
So before we go, I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody so we can all say thank you. And then I'm going to end the meeting for all. So can we all unmute and say thank you?
Thank you.
Presenters today?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.